You've probably seen there's been a number of, to put it neutrally, demonstrations arising out of what's going on in Israel at the moment. And a few people have said, well, hang on a second, all this waving flags and sort of cheering for Hamas, surely that's an offence. Now, without getting into the politics of it, I thought I'd just discuss the actual law. There are probably two laws that are most relevant here. That's the Terrorism Act 2006 and the Terrorism Act 2000. The Terrorism Act 2006 creates a general offence of encouraging terrorism. It's very much like sort of what we used to call incitement, although it's now dealt with by Serious Crimes Act 2007, and I've done quite a few videos on that. But that is, as you might expect, it is where you do something that encourages people to commit terrorist offences. And the mens rea element, in other words, the what do you have to be thinking at the time, is whether you're reckless as to whether somebody would do that. You don't actually have to intend to have that effect, it's just that whether you are reckless. And it's what we call objective reckless. So you can't say, well, I thought about this and I satisfied myself that there was no risk. It's, would an objective, reasonable person looking at this say, well, no, come on, your actions or your words clearly would have encouraged somebody. There was also the rather more controversial offence of what we call glorifying terrorism. And that is basically speaking favourably about terrorism, with that resulting in people possibly thinking that should be something that should be emulated. And just to break that down, so that's not saying that somebody actually does go out and do something, it's whether it would be interpreted as suggesting that this is something, and the word actually used is emulating. In other words, hey, this is something that's worth doing, that's worth copying. And again, regardless of whether anybody is actually so motivated to do that. You take into account the sort of time, manner and place. So, you know, a university lecture about the history of the suffragettes, you could sort of talk about what they got up to, and that probably wouldn't be seen even if you spoke quite favourably. Because, you know, times have moved on and it's not like people are going to be going out assassinating the Prime Minister for votes for women. So that would probably be okay. But something more contemporary, that might be different. The other one is the Terrorism Act 2000, and that makes it an offence to express support for a prescribed organisation, and that's a big list of organisations, of which Hamas is one. Hamas is a prescribed organisation at law. So you can't basically speak favourably about them or express any form of support. That's, other than giving them money, that's dealt with. Fundraising is a separate offence. So obviously fundraising for terrorism, you know, that's also an offence itself. But so is merely expressing support. Now, it's all very fact-based, and the mere fact that people are using Palestinian flags doesn't necessarily mean, you know, because that is a distinct entity from Hamas themselves. But anybody speaking in favour of Hamas directly could be in a little bit of trouble there. So anyway, hope you found that, as always, vaguely interesting. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing to anybody who might find this useful.